afternoon. So this is what so we were talking off camera. Normally I'll watch the show on Wednesdays here while I'm working. But I was on the train yesterday, and then I was doing some other stuff. I was doing other work to prepare for a recording I had last night with another client. And so I watched the show this morning. And typically, when I do my walk or my runs, I have either I'll typically just watch my podcast. But I said, you know what, I want to watch the show from yesterday since I didn't get a chance to see it. So I put it on. I started watching it maybe 5 or 10 minutes before I left out, and I left out this morning around 10 to 6, and I watched the podcast, the show during my full 4-mile walk this morning, and as I said to you, this show really resonated with me. I was smiling the whole entire time. It was probably one of the best shows, And here's the thing: I love all the episodes you do. I love the shows, but for whatever reason, this one just hit different. The conversation about music, and if you don't have a song or a tune playing in your head, like your life's tune. There's something wrong with you. And then when like Gwendolyn was talking about like Twisted Sister, like we listened to everything back in the day. You would listen to some R&B, some rap, and then it would just go to Twisted Sister, and everyone loved it. I remember the collaborations like with the Beastie Boys and what was the other one? Twisted Sister did a collab with, who was it? Run DMC back in the day. Was it Walk This Way?
Walk This Way.
Yeah, I think it was Aerosmith.
Aerosmith. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like the collaborations from back then, like those were just so good. So thank you to Gwendolyn. I know she's in the back room right now, off stage, but thank you guys for that conversation, because this morning it just made me happy. I literally smiled and was laughing the whole way. And I know my regulars that walk past me, they're like looking at me like, what the hell is he listening to?
Yesterday was a good show, and it was so much fun. First of all, I love programs and shows that take me back to a period that I don't normally visit in a routine of my thinking. Right. And I had not thought about Sherry in decades. But she was my first crush, and she was across the street, and I was like, oh my gosh, Sherry. And she was just so cute, so adorable, and her mom was like, stay away from the boys.
Yeah, and everyone can remember their first crush. I mean, when you guys went through that, I actually was reliving my first crush. I mean, I remember, so this was like in junior high. I'm going to say her name. I mean, she probably doesn't know. I know she don't watch this. Martha Hernandez. I remember she was a transfer. She came into school from Brooklyn or Queens mid school year, and I remember all the guys had a crush on her. Like we were all fawning over her because one, she's the new person. We're so the same people over and over again. But everyone, I remember she was my first crush. But like those things like that is nostalgic. It brings you back to a time like, I'm about to turn 50. I'm just like looking back, like, wow, I've lived a life. You know what I mean?
Lived a life.
I lived a life. So, thank you, Gwendolyn, before you even come in here. I'm watching her in the background.
She's in the background. Y'all know we heard her footsteps come up to the doorstep. So she's getting ready to ring the bell in a little bit.
Yes. Oh, I loved that one yesterday. No, I want the red carpet treatment. I don't know. It was just such a fun episode yesterday.
It was a good episode. And Gwendolyn, I mean, all of you guys, Gwendolyn Elise, you're here with me all the time, and it's so delightful. And but yeah, yesterday was one of those. Like I said, it's already had 90 views, which normally we get like 35 within 24 hours. It's about 35 to 50 views. Yeah. Within 24 hours. we're already at 90 views on that particular show.
It was a
I was
good
like,
show.
it resonated with a lot of people. I was like, okay, what's I said so now we know what people like. I mean, they always say, as you
Nostalgia.
people love nostalgia. Even when we were doing at the end on Fridays, different things like our favorite candies or our favorite gum, or people
you should bring that back.
Yeah, we need to go back to that. Yeah, we should do that. That is so much. I mean, people really enjoy those moments. So who's in the building? And first of all, did you hit the likes? Hit the likes. Let people know we're here. The algorithm, that's how they work. And they say, oh, there's something going on over there. So here we are. Let's see who was in the building first today, Chris. Hannah.
Of course.
Hannah was in the room at 10:15. I think, what was it? Does it do a timestamp? 10:32.
It does. 10:32.
10:32. She was in the building, and she says, "Good morning, Ron and Chris and Touch Base Daily family." And she says, "I do too." And Bryson gets the silver today. Bryson was in the building early. He says, "What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, RLP fan? What's up, everybody? Happy Law and Order Thursday. The BET nominations are announced today." Do people still watch BET Awards?
I think, honestly, I think BET Awards is actually starting to make a comeback several years ago. I remember for a while, people were just like, okay, this is just way too ghetto. But I think people are actually moving, like they've stepped it up a little bit, and people are going back to the BET Awards.
Yeah.
I can't say the last time I've seen it, though.
I was like, the BET Awards? I mean, who watches that any longer? But I know there's some people out there.
People do. Wait, before you move on, because it's in my eye line. You publicly said that plant over your left shoulder is mine. So now it's
yours.
Mine.
It is yours.
It is mine.
Yours, Chris.
And actually, when I come up there on the 17th, I'm going to make a special stop just to get it.
I said, I cannot not give this to my buddy Chris. Chris said he wanted it.
Oh, I love it.
It's one of the best plants I've ever bought. It really is.
And because my parents have one in their living room. And you know who else has one? A really nice one like that? Rex. He has two huge ones in his living room.
And this will grow huge.
Yes.
It will just keep growing.
I
remember reading it can grow up to 5 feet.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
Growing, it just gets fuller and fuller. And I bought this 2 years ago, and I was in the Washington D.C. Train station, waiting for Amtrak, and I said, "Yo, these are nice plants." And I go.
You bought it there?
Yeah, right there in train station, right in it's a florist in there.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking.
Yeah,
They've done some updates in there. When I was down there a month ago or a month and a half ago, they've done some nice little renovations in there.
Washington, D.C., baby. It was Washington, D.C., and I went and got that, brought them home. They were 2 little plants, like, half the size they are now. And then I put them into one pot, because, I got to make it look good and full and everything. So I put them in one pot, and they love each other.
Yeah.
They both grow, and it's always new leaves.
They're competing against one another because plants don't like to see things taller than them.
Oh,
so they're competing, and that's why I always tell you when you especially when you're trying to grow a plant tall, put a stick in it because it's competing against the stick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, all my plants now have sticks.
Yeah, and that's why they grow.
I had a collection of bamboo poles in my bathroom, which was part of my Asian look in my bathroom.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you know what? I got these. My fiddle figs had grown so big and they were hanging. I said, you know what? I'm going to use these poles, and they're working so well. So I'm going to try to keep my fiddle figs because I love them so much. They've grown so. I mean, they're literally.
Look how tall that was.
Yeah, I mean, they are 6 feet tall, and this one's 7 feet. So I like my plants, and I don't want to give them away. But this one, because Chris said he loved it, he gets it.
I called it weeks ago.
You did. We were just talking. You're like, if you're giving it away, I like that one.
Not that I have to be very careful what I bring in this house now because we have so many plants. I actually, some of them, you kind of prune them down and you realize, all right, well, this is not really going to make it. And my money trees didn't make it. They're very fickle. I moved my money tree because we're starting to like take stuff off the walls and stuff like that. I need to get
leaves start falling off.
They start turning brown, they start dropping off, and then like you have like little seedlings on, but the way that money trees grow, the way they're intertwined, if you can't save it in the very beginning, sometimes you just kind of have to let it go. So I've had to let actually 3 of them go.
I only have one left.
Yeah.
I used to have 3.
Yeah, I have one. Well, half of one left. But what I did was some of the leaves that were branched off, I took them and put them in water. So what I would love to do is when we move is they had been repotted since they were in water for about a month. I'm hoping that they take the leaves are still there. They're just getting a little greener, and hopefully they'll grow to be a lot bigger. So let's see. Yeah,
we are plant lovers. And we see also in the building is the Gwendolyn. Good morning, she says. Ms. G.R. Houston, jock.
Oh, wait, go back. Who was number 2 and number 3? I cut you off.
Number 2 is Bryson. Number 3 is Gwendolyn.
Okay.
Yeah, and now Kelly is in the building. Good morning, everyone, she says. And we have the wonderful Lisa. Lisa rocked last night in game night, y'all. She was participating. She went from just a wallflower to now participating. Even though she was making up some words, she was still doing her thing.
Listen, I see Lisa slowly coming out of the shadows and participating in a lot of stuff more. The next move is to get Lisa on the screen with us.
One of these days, she'll be on the screen with us because she got so much personality, y'all.
Well, listen, when y'all do the get together in September, I'm just letting you know you're going to have to be on camera.
We're going to put her on camera. Jazzy's in the building. She says, good morning, beautiful people. Bria says, what's up, Lisa? What's up, Jazzy? And Lisa says, also, this is coming from nowhere, but would either of you have ever been in the lavender marriage? I was just on a different live, and that topic came up. What's the lavender marriage?
Never heard that term before.
Never heard it. Google. No.
Actually, I'm going to look it up.
Look it up, Chris. Look it up. And while you do that, I'm going to Mimi's in the building. She says, "Good morning, Ron, Chris, and LRP crew." Anthony Rowland is in the building. He says, "Good morning," and also Kimmy Kim. Now, Kimmy Kim, y'all, man, play some games.
Okay, so here it is.
Okay, what is it?
Lavender marriage. A lavender marriage is a marriage of convenience to hide one's sexual orientation, often used by celebrities in the past. Learn about the history, examples, and current practices. So, this topic came up because of the famous designer's husband just wrote. I don't know if it was a book he came out with or an interview that he did. He I just saw it too this morning. Lisa, what was the guy's name? But anyway, they've been married for 50 years, I believe. And he said, they've been married together that long, but he said outside of their marriage, he's a gay man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I got the siren, so
yeah. Let me see if I can find, it's a famous designer. She was at the Met. They were at the Met. What was it? And of course, I'm not gonna be able to find it now.
Outside the marriage, he's a gay man.
Yeah, but he hasn't stepped out on their marriage, but he knows that he likes men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she responded today saying, I know my husband. We tell each other the truth. So
I always used to laugh. I won't mention any of the anchors' names, but here in Clinton Hill, in Fort Greene, and Park Slope, in the surrounding areas here, a lot of times you'll go up to the Brooklyn Museum on certain Saturdays. And I remember one Saturday hanging out in the Brooklyn Museum, and I saw these anchor women that are here in New York City with their husbands. And I knew that their husbands were gay or at least bisexual. And I always say, to each his own. Every couple has this dimension to what they do. It's just You know, people say things about, you know, how did Hillary stay with Bill? I mean, you make decisions, and when it's a negotiation every day to be in a marriage.
All right, so here it is. It's Diane von Bostenberg, her husband Barry Diller, and they've been married 24 years. Sorry, not
24 years.
Yeah, he said comes out as gay after 24-year marriage, but he didn't come out. She knows. They've been married for 24 years, but he said outside of his, he knows who he is, and she knows who he is. Here's the thing. The one thing I've learned as this adult man and going what I've gone through and letting people in at this later stage of my life is that one, sexuality is fluid, and then no one can tell you how you feel on the inside and who you love or who you have a preference for. I truly believe that most people are bisexual by nature. You might never act on it, but that's just what it is. We're human beings, and I mean, this is not something that is only common to people, but you see it in nature all the time, in the animal kingdom, in plants, just in general. It's so normal. I mean, the other thing too, you have tons of there are a lot of undocumented cases of what's the word I'm looking for? Where you have both sexes. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? Hermaphrodites. It's a lot more prevalent than people think. And what a lot of kids, when they were younger, when they're born that way, back in the day, parents just decided, all right, well, you know what? We're going to raise them as a girl, or we're going to raise them as a boy. And they have a procedure to correct, quote unquote, correct that. And then a lot of times, you see these kids commit suicide or have a lot of mental issues later on because their parents didn't choose right. You can't choose. The chemistry makeup will determine, in a way, your sexuality. But anyway, I digress, I should say.
That is a very interesting subject, and I always remember a report that I remember mentioning this to several friends growing up. I said over the last decade, I guess I say, some of my friends, and they don't understand sexuality is so complex among all species. And I remember when I was when I was on safari, and I saw two male lions doing a do, and so it's people think, oh my God, homosexuality, blah 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 blah, and all that other stuff, and that this is learned behavior, and it's been around since creatures have been around. And the proof of the pudding is one species I always like to reference is called the sex monkeys. Has anyone heard of the sex monkeys? So check out, here's your homework. Look up sex monkeys and why they're so special. Why are they so unique to humans? Because of one chromosome.
Hold on. Wait. I heard something. Gwendolyn's at the back door.
I love it. Here it goes. Wait, it's Gwendolyn.
Good morning, ma'am. I want to hear you. Oh, why is it still playing? Are you still ringing the doorbell?
You gotta pause it. You gotta freeze it once you do it.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
It's so funny because now Chris has control. Now Chris and I both have control of our page here.
It's dangerous.
But the sex monkeys are our closest relative in the mammal species. And what they do is they use sex as resolution. They use it for conflict resolution. So
sounds good.
Female monkeys, male monkeys, male female monkeys all have sex for resolution. So there's a fight, a scuffle goes on. They solve it.
Oh wait, no, okay, maybe not a good thing. So they just random people be fighting.
Well, in the primate, the monkey species, but the sex monkeys specifically, to resolve conflict, they have sexual relations. Male, female, female, male. Okay. Look it up. You're going to be quite surprised. And I do believe there was a documentary on it, I think on PBS, but I can't remember if it was PBS or one of these things I saw. But if you look it up, I think if you put it on also, we can try it. We can just look on Google and go into and try and see if it's on YouTube. But it's quite fascinating.
Lisa got it right. She said that's definitely a soundbite for to get clicks. So we definitely have to use this.
It is.
Come on over to Touch Base Daily. We got sex monkeys.
We're talking sex monkeys today. So what's up, Gwendolyn?
Well, if I could add on to Chris's point, the Museum of Sex in New York City years ago had an exhibit about sex and nature. And they had, it's one of those things that just really open your mind. So it does talk about how, sexuality is fluid. And there were all kinds of pictures and I'll say animations, a couple of statues, letting you know what happens in the real world, like dolphins. Dolphins do some funny things, that little blowhole there, right? And deer's like threesomes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's different. So when people talk about it, I was like, what? Wait, what? So when people talk about stuff, it's like humans, in my opinion, are just a little prudish.
Yes.
Very, very, especially Americans. I say this all the time. Americans are the most prudish people on this planet. They act like people. I'm like, hello, how the hell you thought you got here?
And if I may, probably really sexually frustrated.
Yes.
Well, that's why most Republicans are. Sorry, did I go there?
Yes.
Yeah, but if you look at some of the things in movies, they make jokes about it. Like, oh, are you not getting any? Yeah, y'all need to that's.
Listen to me. If people were getting it more, I think that we'd have less conflict in the world.
Well,
my home is happy, so I ain't worried about this.
Same here. I have a very happy home.
And I wanted to make sure that I had to say here, I have to, me, I had to go and give you the evidence because Ron wouldn't be there if I didn't say the evidence. But here we go, y'all.
You and your sex
Who are
monkey?
they? The sex monkeys are actually bonobos, a species of ape known for their frequent and diverse sexual behaviors, including same-sex interactions, oral sex, and a variety of other positions, says a Scientific American article. They are also known to us sex as a form of conflict resolution and social bonding. It was reported on ABC News.
Well, that's a way of putting it, using sex for everything. So
look, sex is the key. Sex is the answer.
It releases endorphins. It calms you down. It makes you happy.
Yeah.
It is an interesting read.
That's why you have to find someone that you have good sex with.
Which is why you have to have that emotional connection.
Yeah, and you have to talk. I love what you said yesterday about communicate. People want to have sex but don't want to talk about it. How the hell are you going to have sex with somebody and not be able to have a conversation with them ahead of time to tell them, hey, look, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. If you do this is the type of reaction you're going to get. I tell people all the time, my friends, whatever, if you can't talk about having sex with someone, you have no business having sex with them.
I agree.
What did Richard Pryor says? Anthony says Richard Pryor has a bit about blacks versus whites when it comes to sex. He said black folks like to be in it 4 and 5 days. What? Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. Adrian said, what are we talking about?
That's monkeys. You missed the intro.
The preacher is in the room. Holy wait. He's like, what's going on in this space?
May I add one thing
Dropping facts.
To give Adrian some context. Okay, so after the show, Ron and I had a conversation that I completely obliterated his topics that he had scheduled out. I took his lesson plan and I burned it.
Hijacked it.
We burned it. I was like, put it on fire.
It was like,
but here's the deal, though. There is always going to be something awful happening every single day. Always, right? There are just as many great things happening, but we don't spotlight it. And every now and then you need to break away from what's going on outside and just have some more lively, engaging, fun, free-flowing conversations.
Yes.
We need that because that's still gonna be there. Those folks out there doing all the ignorant, most evil things, they will be there. They'll be there. There's plenty of time.
And I think that's why it resonated. I think that's why yesterday's show resonated with everyone so much. And I think that's why it resonated with me. It just felt happy. The conversation was happy. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, we had a good time yesterday. And I think it's a cue that our community, our folks, and we all know the politics. We all know the same thing. We all know where we are, where we stand. We also know who we voted for. We also know about Project 2025. We also know this president's crazy. We know all of that. So we don't really have to dwell on it. We can really just spending time being together and talking about subjects that just we want to talk about. So I just thought yesterday was an interesting feel to the whole conversation.
Yes.
And she asked Gwendolyn, I said, Gwendolyn, I had all of this planned, but I said, oh, can I change it? I got to change it all around. But we had the greatest time yesterday.
Yeah.
And we come with the, I like to say, I map out what we could talk about, but never committed to any of it.
So wait, I had to put up Lisa's comment because Lisa's on fire today.
Ooh,
most people are worried about after sex thoughts, so they won't do the deed for fear of hearing what people are really like in bed. Absolutely true. And my thing is you should not be afraid to be in that space. You should be able to talk about sex before you have it, have fun having sex. If you can't, let me tell you something. If you can't have good sex and laugh and cry and do all those types of emotions, then you're not doing it right. And then you should be able to talk about it afterwards.
Right.
That's a full experience.
It's an experience. It's a full experience.
Can we roll to Anthony's comment?
What did
because
Anthony say?
Here's the part that I believe is why so many people never truly get to experience life and all that life has to offer is that we take what is so natural and we want to put it in a closet and it's only for after hours. Now, I don't know about y'all, but some of us have afternoon delights.
Or morning sensations.
Or sometimes it's the best way to get you started in the morning. Now, let's be honest about some of these things.
My son is in the building. I don't really talk like this when I'm around him.
Sir, you're grown.
But
we are grown.
The morning time is the best time, I always say. Anyways.
Listen, you're releasing those endorphins and you got that energy, and I'm just ready to go.
Best part of waking up.
The mornings is the best
something
way
in your cup.
Start the day. I just say.
It might not be coffee, but something's in there.
Something's in there.
So here we go again. Sorry, Adrian,
her name is not Folgers.
Adrian is the minister in the building.
Well, then,
but he talks. Please, Adrian's the most real person you will ever meet.
I'm sure. How many kids he got?
He got two. He got two boys.
There you go.
2 men now, but they are. Adrian's the most honest conversationalist I know. So yeah, there's nothing I don't talk about around him. So, anyways, let's say here. I love day parties. What's that, Adrian? What are you talking about there? I love day parties.
You missed it, Ron.
Did I miss it? Did it go over my head?
Yes, it did.
I didn't even see that one.
This was Touch Base Daily After Dark.
If you don't have the convo, enjoy the frustration.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey, Rosemary's
And
in the building.
that's coming from the minister.
The minister has spoken. Yes. But anyways,
okay. So last point, and this is serious. This is a serious point here.
Go ahead.
There is a level of power. Now, I'm coming from a woman's perspective, where for women, even voicing and talking about this kind of thing will get you like an S on your chest, right? Because like, oh my God, I can't believe. So you have this thing where you want the lady in the
bedroom,
and you want the freak over here.
No.
Like,
yeah. You want the lady out in the streets and the freak in the bedroom.
That's what they used to say. Yes, that's what.
And so like you get into this mindset of, here I am being the good girl, and I'm going to get the husband, but there's no satisfaction for either one of you. And then one of you, typically the guy, steps out, and then someone tells you, "Oh, that's just the way that life is. That's not the way that life needs to be." If someone told women. And I'm going to come from a Black woman's perspective, because we are always over sexualized from a very young age. They start putting, tags and things on us. This is life. But if more young women knew their power and how to exercise that and how to communicate that, they would be and could be really great partners. And but the guys, that's a whole nother. I don't.
Let me add on to that. Coming from a male perspective, it doesn't matter what type of relationship you're in. If you're in a same-sex relationship, or in a heterosexual relationship, or in a poly relationship, if you don't give your partner those things, they will find it from someone else.
There you
go. You better be a freak in the bedroom, in the kitchen, in the living room, out in the streets, wherever, because they will find it elsewhere.
And there's nothing wrong with being freak when you're with someone you love.
Absolutely.
But
you're in a relationship forever.
Freak, because like what's normal for one.
It's just a term. It's just a term. It's just a term. It's just a term.
But I believe it's a term used to deter from, because it brings it back to it. I'm gonna say it. It's a man. I think it's a man thing. It is used.
A man's world.
It's used to keep you from expressing your power, right? Because you are what you are. Now, my husband was shocked when we had some before marriage conversations. We talked about money. I talked about the type of debt he was bringing into this relationship. We talked about what we enjoyed. I was like, partner, I got to make show. You know what I'm saying?
You have to have all the hard conversations.
Gwendolyn does not hold back on anything.
I freaked out Ron last week sharing some things with him. He was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was like,
"Where's my pearls?"
Adrian wants to be on this panel, so I think we should send him an invite.
Oh, we gotta send Adrian an invite. Okay, let's send the doctor. He can always scan the screen too, but let me send him an invite because he wants to feel special.
I'm just saying.
Listen, Lisa, like you said, if the Black woman won't do it, Becky will. Yeah.
And Black women are often shamed for expressing any level of sexuality across the board. We
bullshit.
Are shamed. They use religion to do it too. That's just reality. But think about the number of women who have never had an orgasm. There are studies about that.
Yeah,
so crazy to me.
Heterosexual women who have
and they've been married for years, but they never tell their husband what they need and what they want.
That's some crazy bullshit.
If you're with someone and this is your partner, you have to be able to share.
If I'm with someone and I'm not feeling fulfilled or satisfied, then this is not working. I'm like, I have to say something.
Okay, pop culture. I want to throw some pop culture in here. Have any of you ever seen the Thomas Crown Affair?
Yes.
Remember the sex scene in the Thomas Crown Affair? Yes. It's one of the best sex scenes in the movies. It's so well done. And why is it one of my favorite sex scenes in movies? Is because it takes sexuality and makes it part of fun and happiness and enjoyment, and you see these two adults so attracted to each other, and when they finally come together, they're having so much fun. They're on the desk throwing things down, falling on the floor, on the stairs, everywhere, just having this. Oops, I hit you.
No, that was me. Sorry,
and,
that was me.
And you sit there. It was one of my. It was such a great movie overall. It's about the art world and an art thief. But you have this detective that's going after the thief, and he's a multi-millionaire. He's stealing art and collecting art. But they come together. But the one of the best sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It was classy. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was laughter. It was tears. It was everything. One of the best sex scenes I've seen on screen. Oh, somebody in the building. Oh my goodness. No, y'all, he is unleashed. When he gets unleashed, y'all watch out. Look at him. What's up, Mr. Adrian?
What's up, Adrian?
Let's talk about sex, baby.
All right.
And you want and Adrian is really good at this. You know why? Because Adrian also talks to his married couples in his church.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks about it all. So share your perspective, Pastor.
I mean, so listen, okay, so let me just establish the fact that I'm going to be, all my comments are sort of like, are biblically based and based on my experience in talking to couples in the church, which, by the way, we started out, my wife and I, we believe that for some reason, the church, and even the church that I grew up in, the church, we avoid talking about sex as if it's something that's not one of the biggest blessings that God has given us. Mm-hmm. And because of that, there's like this exploratory way, and that's why folks are like, they get hooked on porn or even like social media and the things that we find on, because you can get anything on Twitter. I used to have to sneak around and find like my uncle's like closet to find like video.
The VHS tape back in the day.
I've seen some freaky things.
Remember to rewind it to the part where they left off, so you don't get caught.
Well, I learned that lesson. Gotta get back to where I left off. I prefer to find the ones that were started at the beginning. That's like, I ain't worried about that. Be kind and rewind.
Yes.
But, like, we've got all these different, like all these couples that are having, they just don't have the conversation. And even when they have the conversation, it's like, I said it on a video once, I got in trouble for it. I was like, we got to stop thinking that missionary is the only position in church marriages. Like, mm-hmm. There are other positions in the kingdom other than missionary. Like, y'all need to learn it.
Shoot, the missionaries aren't doing missionary.
But the reality is, if that's all that both of you are comfortable with, then that's fine. But on the other side of the spectrum is like, don't think that as soon as you say I do, you need to be hanging from the chandeliers with a gag ball in your mouth. Like, we've had it's like we've had both those kinds of the conversations. Yes. We've done panels at our church to make sure that we can answer all those questions. People submit questions anonymously, and they have to we want them to be as comfortable as possible so we can address it. And you'd be surprised. The last panel we did a couple of weeks ago, is BDSM a sin? Is it ungodly? Is anal sex a sin? Is it ungodly? All these different questions. And we had to be like, enjoy yourself.
There you go.
The marriage bed is not defiled as long as the two of you agree. That's with a Christian marriage. It's with any relationship. If you are agreeing and you both say, I'm comfortable with this and I'm not comfortable with that. And even in the church, if the word stop happens, take a step back and let's pause and be like, all right, are we comfortable? Have we gone too far? Do we need to have a conversation around it? But it's so disappointing how unfulfilled relationships are because we're not having the dialogue about what I'm going to enjoy, what I'm going to not enjoy. And how about this? The things, we've been married 25 years. There are things that we were not down for 25 years ago that we are absolutely enjoying now. I'm not going into details, Pop. Sorry. I mean, I don't want you know.
No, but it's
true. When we talk about it, it's close.
You're a human being and you're growing, and you have to grow with your marriage. If you think that what you did 20 years ago is going to still work now, it just doesn't happen. We are all evolving, and in every aspect of our lives.
Adrian knows I would never talk about it when I was young. Especially when he was younger, I was like, I'm not talking about it, son.
You should have. I was doing a little something on the side. You was this girl. You should have had that convo because remember that.
I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it in general, like but
I know.
No deep conversation, which was and sometimes when you're older, you look back and say, I should have been more open. I should have been more sharing, more expressive, more details, because that's important.
I find parents who are more open with their kids talking about drugs and sex, their children actually will turn out better because one, they have been introduced to it and they know the positives and the negatives of it. Let me tell you something. When I went, and college is a great testing ground for this. I remember when I went to school and I would see some of these people, and mind you, I went to a predominantly white school. Some of these kids lost their effing minds. Like this, the drinking obsessively because they never had a chance to be around it. Just random sex and just getting all these STDs. Whereas like I remember from when I was in grade school, my mother always said, you're not ready for sex, but if you do happen to come across it, if it's something that you kind of like, make sure you wear a condom. I don't want to be a grandmother. You don't want to be a father this young or whatever. Growing up in a Caribbean house, we were always around like beer and, adult beverages. And our parents let us sample it because they want us to get the taste of it. And we knew as kids, we don't like that stuff because it's not sweet. It didn't have it wasn't that sugary drink that we were accustomed to. So we stayed away from that stuff. I went away to college. I didn't get like piss poor drunk like a lot of the people that I went to school with. So having these conversations, quote unquote hard conversations at an early age will help to navigate you throughout your life.
Yes.
First of all, I was rude. I rang the doorbell, but I didn't say hi, Chris.
Hi, Adrian.
Good to see you, Auntie G. You gotta
come in and say good morning, good afternoon, say something.
You gotta acknowledge when you walk into
those houses like that.
That's right.
You was raised better than that.
You were raised better than that.
I apologize. I'm humbled and I apologize. With my sons, when they were going to I think about Darian, my firstborn, before he was going to William Patterson University, right? I was having a thing in the backyard. I had some of my boys were around. We were having a beer. And I told him, I said, you know what, sit down. And he sat down and I gave him a beer and I was like, I want you to drink that whole thing. And I want you to understand because, I want you to know what it feels like to have one.
Yes.
And if that's what it feels like to have one. Imagine if you have two. And you're doing this right now in a safe environment. You're home. Yeah. You're around people that love you and you trust. And so this is an environment where you can do this safely. And I want you to know what it feels like so that your first experience isn't in some frat house with a bunch of, because he was at a PWC too, right? And they act different.
They don't care.
They ain't like us.
When you get drinking, right? So I wanted him to know what that felt like. So he wasn't trying to be all exploratory and like, we can't do that here. What safer environment than me? And then from, again, a Christian household, they know exactly how they were raised. And I've gotten some flack for this, but I was like, listen, I want you to be holy. But if you can't be holy, be smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
So take these condoms. Because if you don't have them, then you can't be smart.
There you go.
It's not saying I want you to. It's saying if you're going to, because I know who I was, and I know exactly what's going on in our body. So if you feel that if you have to go through, be smart.
Be smart.
If you're not going to be smart, then, like we try to oppress our kids in this way, and it's like all we're doing is pushing them more towards what we don't want to see.
Yes. And the more prudent you are, the more restrictive you are, the more people want to be let out of the cage. I remember Dr. Dobson. This is when I was a youth director, and I remember reading about young people, teenagers, and it was a really great approach because it would help me with Adrian, it helped me with the kids at the church. And he says, I never saw a child that wanted to be placed in a cage, right? If they're in a cage, they want to fight to get out. They know that's not where I want to be. That's not where I need to be. However, you've never seen a child totally happy with total freedom, meaning just do what you want. Just live the way you want to be. Just go out and do whatever you want. And then the kid usually says, my father doesn't care. My mother doesn't care. They don't care what I do. And they're really upset because mama doesn't care and daddy doesn't care. And there was a night, there's one little line. He says, but kids need to be put on a leash. And meaning you have to have it where they can get out, move, pull it back, give it a little more room, pull it back, give them a little more room, pull it back, and keep educating along the way.
Yeah.
Because that's how they learn. My job when Adrian was growing up was always, I kept exposing him to everything. Flying a kite, getting in the car, going hiking, doing this, doing that. My job, your job as a parent is to give them as much exposure so they can make better decisions.
Yeah.
And but I remember being when I was hanging out with my friend in Salamanca, Spain, and I met some of his friends. And I was amazed that when I went to McDonald's, they had beer on the menu. I was like, oh man, there's beer everywhere in Spain. You go to Madrid, there's beer, kids are drinking, but they're not boozing out. They're just going, hey, I would like to have a meal. I'll have a drink of beer, beer with it. And I realized when I'm in Europe and I have friends over there, young people do not act the same way the young people in America act. They're so much more mature in their decision making because they drink when they're 10 years old. When they have their dinner in the morning dinner at night, they all have a glass of wine. Is nothing crazy. You look at the billboards, there's naked people on the magazines and on the newsstand. The billboard has a woman with a hat and two boobs out. It's the whole nother world. And so people are expressive. And then I learned in Europe is that I was like, man, people are really affectionate in public because people were on the street, all hands all over and kissing. And my friend was like, because they live with most families live with their fathers, their mothers, their grandfathers. So the house is compact. So intimacy is expressed outside because that's their private time.
Yeah. Well, to add on to that, Europeans are much more open and expressive. Like you can go overseas, most places, and actually see sex on regular TV. But also, here's the thing: it's a natural part of life. So if you're depicting life, they show all those things. And it's not. Sometimes it's not as vulgar as they make it out to be here in the States. It's a more natural thing. Seeing bare-breasted women or seeing people nude on the beach, like it's like a cutout in America. Like if you're gonna do a nude beach, you have to be like in a certain area. But like if you go to Europe, like it's not like a nude beach and a regular. It's just the beach.
It's the beach.
I remember growing up, going back to Jamaica during the summer times, and we would go to the beach all the time, and then people would just like take off their swim trunks right there and then go wash up in the water and it wasn't a big thing. Like we all have these parts. It's just that us as a society in America, we sexualize everything.
Yes.
Just because you have a penis or boobs does not mean you have to be sexualized. That is us putting that on people. These are just natural things. Here's the thing that always confused me. It's like, it's sexualized if it's a woman's bare breast with nipples. Now, if you show the nipple, then you get an R rating. But if you show a man that has pecs or breasts, because that's what they're called, and you show this nipple, it's not a thing. Like it's the same thing. It's just the size difference. You have women that are quote unquote flat chested that don't have big boobs, but then if you show her nipple, it's still considered R rated. Whereas that man that she's with might have a bigger chest than her and probably even a bigger nipple than her, but it's okay. Like, make that make sense.
But it's the society we live in America.
Yeah, it is, because the moment you go anywhere outside of America, it's completely different.
Totally different. Completely. Even places in places in Africa that are not so contaminated with colonialism and the European Christian missionary mindset, the freedoms are incredible. It's freedom all over the world, but the religion has killed the planet in so many ways in relationships.
Yeah,
especially here.
Yeah,
especially here.
And
it's so weaponized.
And the more prudent they are, the more divisive they are behind the scenes.
But here's the thing: they're the ones that are out there doing all the quote unquote deviant acts.
Yeah, they're the one in the airport. They're the one in the airport kicking under the stall and say, hey, dude.
All these people that are calling out homosexuals, this and that, and calling for reform, they're the ones being arrested for sex acts in public places. It's just like, make that make sense. So the ones that protest too much are always the ones that are doing it.
Well, if I may, if you decide to subscribe to the society hierarchy and power play, then you are agreeing to not do some things. And I've said it before. So instead of you enjoying the life you want to enjoy, which is to be free and do whatever it is you want to do, you have agreed to perhaps marry a woman, even though you are very well gay or bisexual or what have you. You have decided that I am going to go against these things, even though I want to do it, because how dare these people have this amazing free life, right? It's giving up some comfort, some power to live the life you really want to live. Now, it all depends on what you value. Clearly, these people value that. That's what they value. I value, hey, I'm going to do Gwendolyn and be happy as Gwendolyn. I think everyone else should be in the exact same boat, but that's what that is. That's where a lot of those policies come from. Like, how dare you be happy and free and, dress the way you want to dress and express yourself and truly be who you were meant to be. How dare. So I'm going to create policies to squash that, because if I can't have it, you can't have it either.
Yeah.
And that is a mindset of a lot of folks in our country, is that if they can have the freedom and I can't have the freedom, then no one should have the freedom.
It boils down to that. If I may, though, I'm going to go ahead and say that I really loved Dr. Ruth, because she was my girl.
Wasn't Dr. Ruth the best?
She was my girl.
Ruth Westenheimer.
I love the Father. God bless them. They didn't give us too many lessons. You know what I'm saying?
Dr. Ruth taught me she taught me a lot of things that she taught me almost everything I know.
I'm just saying, Dr. Ruth did it. But for those of you who are in New York or who roll through every now and then, I would highly suggest going to the Museum of Sex.
Yes.
It's a scientific
Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
It's a scientific thing. People hear sex and get all kind of like just full stop. It's science, right? It's a museum. But
America doesn't believe in science nowadays.
I thought it was a strip club.
What do you think that was a strip club? Is that what he's
Yes.
But you know what? And this is the other thing. When I was in Iceland, because I've been to Iceland a couple of times, and so the first time I went to Iceland, in Reykjavik, you have the museum, the penis museum, and I was like, the penis museum. I was like, in New York we have the sex museum, but the penis museum, and it has a collection of all the penises of all the mammals and all the creatures around the earth.
There's one in Philadelphia.
Humans, different types of humans. And I was like, holy moly, this is some kind of museum.
There's one in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said I think my wife would enjoy that more than I would. But
well, it was so funny.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
And when you said that, the men that went into when I was with a bunch of other guys from the area, and the men, and these were straight men that were in there with their wives were there, and they thought their wives were going to be more in tune, more learning than they were. And the men walked out like, holy crap, I didn't know any of this stuff. And the men were on the side like, this was nothing like I expected.
Yeah.
And But again, European mindset is so different, and that's because they don't have the hangups of religion and all that other stuff. They just it's just humanity. Humans, we're human, and that's the beauty of humanity is that we come in different shapes, sizes, colors. It's such a variety. Anyway, I thought so. I've been to two beautiful museums. We have one in New York and one in. If you want to go to Iceland, go to the Penis Museum. It's quite.
And there's like I said, there's one. I don't think it's called the Penis Museum, but it's something for sexuality. There's one in Philadelphia. I've been to that one as well.
Yeah, sexuality is important. Sexuality is important. Sexuality, health is important, and the more you talk about it, the better you are.
If people would talk about it more, you would have less sexually transmitted diseases. You would have less people dying of disease because people don't talk about it. You know, you have to. You have to. Go ahead, Gwendolyn.
Okay, so I'm gonna share a tender moment. I know Chris and Ron knows this. So my cousin recently passed away. Right, he's 23 years old from complications with AIDS. Right. He's 23. This is 2025.
Yeah, who dies of AIDS? I mean, like that at that age now.
Right. And I thought to myself, there is no reason why that should have happened, right, in this day and age. And even though I thought and I felt that, he had people around him who would allow him to just be who he was, who he is. Clearly, there was something else going on there that he didn't talk about it until it was entirely too late. You know what I mean? When the illness starts to show up and you end up in the hospital. But there has to be a place where you are providing, I don't want to say a safe space, but a supportive space for people to come and talk to you about whatever, and the fact that there is a rise of STDs in a number of states, and I'm in Texas, I'm just saying we got some numbers over here, but it makes no sense. It makes,
but you know what the rise, the age group, senior citizens,
yes,
and in nursing homes,
yes, senior citizens in nursing homes has the fastest growing rate of gonorrhea and syphilis.
Yeah,
come on, man. Just let them live a little bit.
Yeah.
Hold on. Strap up.
I was shocked when I heard that. I was like,
no, but it's been a thing for a while, and part of the reason why I know this is my mom used to work in a nursing home. You would think that these people are they. What else? I mean, they have nothing else to do. They don't want to play bingo. They want to go and play bingo with each other.
But you get it. You understand?
Play bingo with each other.
But you're talking about cages, like they're also in a cage.
They're in a cage.
Yeah.
And if it's like all they see is each other. And if they have a loneliness, I mean, I've dealt with that with my father-in-law, who's at home hospice at this stage. But prior to that, he lost his wife 5-6 years ago, and he says it all the time how lonely he is. It doesn't matter, you got people coming in. There's a difference between having just that, like a warm companionship and having that body to body feeling.
Yeah.
This doesn't just go away because you're older. And so, I mean, I get how that, how you can look to your left and right and be like, hey, we're here together. Let's enjoy the time we have left.
Human beings crave for affection.
Yeah.
Connection.
And
connection. Yeah.
Genuine connection.
It's a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. Now this was totally off the news today, but this was good.
Yeah, sorry, I hijacked your show.
You ain't hijacking. This is what we do here. You saw you got Adrian on here. It was like,
I can't wait.
I'm coming.
Banging on the door.
He didn't even knock on the bell. He said, I want in. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
And here's the other thing too. What I love about conversations like this is, sex isn't only for people in their 20s, people in their 30s. Let me tell you something. I want to be ripe old 70, 80 years old and still getting it. All right. I mean, it's a part of human nature, it's a part of life, and you should never ever give that up unless there's something medically wrong with you. You should always want to be intimate with your partner or someone you just want to be with, a friend, whatever. So listen, no judgment here. You know what I mean? Friends with benefits, as long as you are two consenting adults and you can have that conversation, more power to you.
Yeah, see, she says they still get their groove on. No bingo shade, Chris.
Oh, no bingo shade at all. Shade. No, listen to me. I love me some bingo. When my grandmother was alive, and remember we were talking about this yesterday. Our family loves bingo because of her. Like we played bingo till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and around 2 o'clock, everyone's like half asleep, and she's just like, "Wake up, we're still playing," and we just play forever. So no shades of bingo. Love it.
Wow. Yes, right. Because Chris is a bingo girl. I mean, she'll be in game night and she's playing bingo. I'm like, Chris, what are you doing tonight? I'm playing bingo, but I'm here. So that was good. That was a good subject. I don't think we have to do anything else. I want to talk about anything else. There's a lot in the news. Also, just make sure you keep an eye on what's going on in, like they're just saying, it's not going to affect, it will affect us on some level, but what's going on in Pakistan and India.
Yeah.
One of our Touch Base Daily family members, Rambo, lives in India because, we have an international community. And Rambo has been sending me texts about what's been going over the last week. And there was a massacre. Pakistani killed a bunch of people from India that were on tour. And so now it's escalating. They've been fighting over Crimea for a long time. So it's been a back and forth, and now things are escalating. And if you always remember from Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Obama, they always ask the question, what is the thing that keeps you up at night as being president? And all three said India and Pakistan, both nuclear powers. They both have nuclear weapons. They both have large populations. And they also, if the weapons got into the wrong hands, if the governments began to topple, the whole world would be in trouble. So keep your eyes on that. Pray for the folks in that area and that there could be some peace, because all we need is we don't need another war on the planet.
Yes,
there's already
a
lot going on. So just keep an eye on that.
What about the Pope? There is no Pope. There was black smoke yesterday evening. So they're
no Pope yet.
They're going back into conclave today, and there will be 2 votes. Well, if the first vote does not result to Pope, there will be a second vote today. There'll be 2, I believe 2 in the morning session and 2 in the evening session.
Right.
Yeah.
So also, if you have not seen the movie Conclave, check it out. It's very fascinating.
It's on Amazon.
And it's
Amazon
now.
Prime. If you have on Amazon Prime, go and watch. It's such a great movie.
I'm not Catholic, but it was fascinating to see the process and what happens and what goes on behind the scenes. And it was really good. And it was saying that some of the cardinals that this is their first time being in a conclave. They said that they were watching the movie to get an indication of how they should process the conclave. So interesting. There's a movie that was based on the conclave, and before that, there was no way of knowing until you were there in the conclave of what to do.
All right. They said this movie was actually a very good depiction of what happens behind those closed doors.
Yeah,
very fascinating.
Fascinating. Gwendolyn, you have a show coming up on tomorrow, right?
Yes. Terrell Swinton. He's going to share his art. They do have a show in Houston that's going to come up. So we'll be talking about that. But I could have sworn Miss Elise has an interview tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Elise has an interview?
I think it's like 7 or 7:30 this evening. I could have sworn. That's what I thought I read on Instagram.
So let's make sure we support Elise.
She's in the room.
Is she, who Elise is? Elise, let us know. That's right. She said after 50 years, my husband and I still.
I saw that.
She was giving us a little hint there. You know, Miss Elise is also one to will tell you the truth. After 50 years, my husband and I still enjoy each other. Amen.
That's how you stay together for 50 years.
That's how you stay together. You better keep it going. Lisa says they already had a vote this morning. Black Smoke.
Okay.
And Jazzy says Conclave was good. It is a wonderful movie. Also, if you're into photography like I am, the cinema photography is excellent.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent photography. Adrian, you got anything going on that you want to talk about? Anything that's happening in your world in the next couple of days?
No, I'm good. It's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day. If I don't, knock on the door tomorrow and get in here. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, whether you're the mom of a natural born, or whether you're a godmother, or you are you're also a mentor to women. Thank you for all that you have done and will continue to do. So happy Mother's Day to all of them.
And then also to those men that had to step in to be mothers and fathers.
Yeah. Yeah, because there are fathers that are mothers.
I have that argument with my sister who's a single mom. I'm like, you get your day. We get ours.
No. That's a little different. That's a little different, but
Elise says, I'm driving. She says, I'm driving. She says, yes, I do have a conversation tonight. So
okay.
let's look it up real quick, so and we'll share that for Elise. So that way we can support what she is doing this evening.
And while Ron is doing that, for all those Drag Race fans, All Stars premieres tomorrow night on Paramount Plus, and we will be back with our recap show Monday the 12th at noon. So we're ready for another season.
And if you haven't seen Chris critique the drag race, he and the two dudes, they are hilarious.
Hilarious.
TJ and Ronald, all three of us, we give our little inputs, and they're more drag connoisseurs than I am. I'm the young baby drag queen, as they would call me.
So this is a Lee's event that's happening tonight, and it says join Augusta Williams from the Peace Arts and I on IG Live Thursday, May 8th at 7:30 p.m. So it's 7:30 tonight Eastern time, and this will be Elise spending time with her in her art world. So happy to see that. I didn't share it. Hold on a second. I didn't share it. There we go. There it is. Okay. There it is. Addicted to Art conversation. Okay. So there you got it. So make sure you check out that on Instagram this evening. And also, I have my wonderful banners I'm going to put up real quick. And then that's it. We're out of here. One is how we do it. Make sure you go to my internet page, which is www.ronlewisphotos.com. You can sign up for the email listing, and that will help us stay in contact with you in case we cannot be here on the internet any longer. But also just to keep you informed what's going on. I do not send a lot of emails out, and so you will be safe on that. Event photography, I do that commercially for clients, for corporations, so corporate photography, and also for family and friends. Okay, and also again support our program, what we do here through our Patreon members. Become a Patreon member, support, and that's how you can do it. Go to patreon.com and then put in Ron Lewis Photos or Ron Foster, and it will pop up. There you have it. Those are the announcements. Oh, and I forgot, we have one more announcement. It came through today. Remember, every year we do fundraisers for the kids at the school in Queens, the high school. So they sent me the information today. There are 5 students that need money for proms, which is $160. And there's 15 students that need to pay their their graduation dues, which is $300. So I will put the campaign together tonight, and it will be through GoFundMe, and you'll be able to send it out to your friends to support them and raise money for the high school out in Queens that we support every year. This will be our 3rd year that we are doing this.
Yeah.
So, and each year, last year we did better than the year before that, and this year we're going to do better than the year last year. So this is going to really be good. I got the call this morning. They gave me all the numbers and I said, we're on it. We're on it. So I'm going to put the GoFundMe together today and we'll send out and support these young people that are graduating. What a great thing to do to help young people be successful. Okay, I think we covered it all. Gwendolyn got that smile, that little sneaky smile.
This was a fun show.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much. And also do your homework. Check out the Sex Monkeys. You'll learn something about the Sex Monkeys. Later, guys. Have a wonderful day. Love ya. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.